WNBA did no favors for the Fever in setting up the 2024 schedule. Through the first 3 weeks, they've already had just a single day off between any of their 11 games. So it's hard to get any real work done when all you do is play, travel, repeat. But this past weekend,
I feel like I'm just at the point where you accept it and don't retaliate. Just let them hit you, be what it is. Don't let it get inside your head and know it's coming. I think at this point, I know I'm going to take.
Diamond DeShields believed she had gotten away with it. Kennedy Carter believed she was safe, but insiders claim WNBA owners have secretly made a list of those who shouldn't sign. Additionally, your career in this league is over if your name appears on it. Something far riskier than a fine or suspension. Just a door that silently closes and never opens again. No news release, no formal announcement. There is no conspiracy here. You already have the evidence in front of you. You'll be wondering how no one made the connection before after seeing this video. Imagine this. The Chicago Sky takes on the Indiana Fever. The clock is winding down. Diamond DeShields abruptly drops her shoulder and collides with Caitlin Clark as she crosses the lane at full speed. There was no effort to play the ball. Body lowered, eyes locked. A deliberate collision masquerading as a game of basketball. The referees sound the alarm. Common fouled, that's all. For a moment, the arena is silent. The crowd then erupts because they just witnessed a lack of defense. It was a declaration. The Shields held a hand out in front of Clark. Fake worry is show. Furthermore, nobody in that building was purchasing it in a matter of hours. The replay became viral. The same 5 seconds are continuously viewed by millions of eyeballs. The Shields returned to the bench in the hopes that the noise would cease, but something had already begun that she was powerless to stop, because this is what she didn't comprehend at the time. You can't simply walk on and body check the most valuable player in women's basketball history. No more. Not in this day and age. The league was different now. Economics had evolved. Additionally, the unspoken guidelines that determine who is allowed to continue playing those had also changed. DeShields simply hadn't received the memo yet. This is when it becomes both intriguing and unsettling. Fans were incensed when the hit went viral. Questions were being asked by sponsors. The league's front office executives were chatting extremely quietly. Not in back channels, not at press conferences, and not on record. And the message that spread was straightforward, nasty, and powerful. The headache is not something we want. The do not sign list uses that terminology. There is no written record of it. There isn't an official memo or spreadsheet. However, you have to ask yourself, what are the odds? When every team in a 12-team league loses a healthy, seasoned wing player who was once an all-star. The Chicago Sky clipped the Shields. Alright, it does occur. Teams have to make difficult personnel choices. She was then signed by the New York Liberty. She never had any worthwhile time. Only garbage time. And then vanished once more. The Connecticut Sun aimed next. She made it through every practice, every scrimmage, and the entire preseason. They also sliced her after that. And now, months later, there is still no team, no contract, nothing. A former all-star with experience and availability, and not a single team will sign her. It's not a coincidence either. Coordination is what the data already imply was. Confirmed by sources close to several organizations. Teams were under pressure to improve their appearance. Her name was being flagged by sponsors. It was evident from internet fans that they did not want her on their rosters. Even though they didn't say anything in public, league executives were somehow ensuring that the message was received. The list operates in this manner. Shields isn't where the narrative begins, but it doesn't have to exist on paper to be fully real. You must return to Kennedy Carter in order to comprehend how this list functions. June 1st, 2024, Indiana Fever versus Chicago Sky. Clark isn't even trying to look. Carter enters the room and gives her a hip check so forceful that she stumbles to the ground as she is standing away from the play. Just a hit, with no basketball logic or competition for the ball. It is called a common foul by the referees. The video is examined by the league. It is upgraded to a flagrant one. Extravagant, unnecessary, and not at any way related to the ball. Carter's answer to questions from media following the game. I'm not responding to any queries from Caitlin Clark. 5 phrases. It only required that. Within an hour, that quote appeared in every major sports outlet. Furthermore, those 5 words conveyed more than simply conceit to all front office executives in attendance. Uncoachability was the problem. Liability was involved. The player was unwilling to even admit her mistakes, much less make a course correction. Carter had a history of misbehavior. At this point, teams began to see a problem they didn't want to inherit instead of potential. After that, she didn't participate in any more WNBA games. Since all of the doors in this league had quietly, effectively, and permanently closed, she was forced to pursue her profession abroad. There was an endless period of silence, neither a news conference nor an announcement on the list. That is the first confirmed name. The story then gets more complicated because footballers aren't the only ones on the do not sign list. It seems to extend into broadcasting as well. Sheryl Swoopes is a Hall of Fame player with decades of credibility and a reliable voice in the basketball media. Her accomplishments on the floor helped her establish a renowned broadcasting career. She then began criticizing Caitlin Clark. She frequently and openly questioned Clark's NCAA scoring record. She promoted stories that had already been refuted by analysts. Additionally, Swoopes would speak extensively about the Indiana Fever's progress during one of the most spectacular turnarounds in WNBA history, purposefully omitting Clark's name. It wasn't nuanced. Everyone who was watching could see that it was calculated. On national television, Stephen A. Smith confronted her. Nancy Lieberman fact-checked her on-air statements in public. Criticism increased from all sides. Because when a Hall of Famer disseminates misleading information about the biggest star in the sport, it not only reflects negatively on them but also on the entire platform. Prior to the 2025 season, she was cut from the Dallas Wings broadcast crew. She was then completely removed from all league broadcasting responsibilities by the WNBA. A Hall of Famer who is entirely absent from the schedule. There was no official justification, no public declaration, just removal. The list had expanded outside of the court. All of a sudden, it is difficult to ignore the pattern. Off-court animosity, on-court violence, and media assaults. All 3 categories experience the same outcomes: disruption to one's career, quiet removal, and a message to all those in attendance. You must put basketball aside and consider commercial survival in order to see why the WNBA is defending Clark so vigorously. Prior to Clark's arrival, the WNBA was struggling to stay relevant due to dwindling interest in some regions, slow growth, broadcast networks that had long ignored the league, and advertisers who had no stake in the outcome. Then, during her debut season, Clark breaks 62 records, with 337 assists. She breaks the single-season assist record. She records a triple-double twice, making her the only rookie in league history to do so. Every other player in the league is outsold by her jersey. Indiana Fever merchandise is being purchased by fans who have never watched a single WNBA game. Crowds for the Fever's road games are larger than those for the home teams throughout the season. Suddenly, television networks that haven't placed a bid for WNBA rights in years are present. Sponsors are investing twice as much. In a single season, the Indiana Fever went from being a lottery club to a contender for the playoffs. You added a good player, so that doesn't happen. This occurs as a result of adding a generational force that modifies a franchise's overall gravitational pull. The union is now demanding more money as the 2026 CBA talks, collective bargaining, player pay, and revenue sharing proceed. Only if the league can demonstrate to sponsors and broadcast partners that the WNBA makes actual money will they be able to defend providing it. That evidence is Clark. Therefore, when players begin to disparage her through concerted hostility, cheap shots, and media attacks, they are doing more than just harming the league's reputation. Every other player's opportunity to bargain for a better contract is being deliberately threatened by them. Shields, Carter, and Swoopes pursued more than just Clark. At the negotiating table, they sought the leverage that the entire league need. That's why the repercussions happened so quickly. They were so total because of this. Take a step back and see something from a distance. 3 well-known people, 3 career breakdowns, all related to the same player, all occurred within a 12-month period. Quiet, effective elimination without official declarations or public justifications. The Shields, who was cut by 3 teams and remains unsigned, went viral on social media about not being able to move her possessions after getting waived. Carter was essentially banished from the league in which she established her career after being sent overseas. Swoops lost her broadcasting responsibilities and the platform that her Hall of Fame career had provided her. Just results, no statements, no press releases, and no openness. And that's exactly what makes the list of things not to sign so intimidating and potent. Official blacklists are prohibited, but unofficial ones, those that use sponsor pressure, whisper networks, and carefully crafted back-channel conversations, seem to be quite okay. Clark's name was never mentioned in an official league action.
They were not required to.
In any case, the message reached every team. Every executive was aware of the significance of the quiet. After witnessing what transpired with Shields, Carter, and Swoops, every player still in the league made their own judgments. This is the reality that lies beneath all of this. Because they like Caitlin Clark, the WNBA is not operating a covert blacklist. They are running it because they have at last achieved what they have been pursuing for 25 years. A player who piques the interest of casual viewers. A player who draws sponsors, sells out venues, and moves products in addition to increasing ratings. And they won't allow media animosity, cheap insults, or jealousy to destroy that. The days of cheap shooting a celebrity, denying it in the media, and returning to the court the following week are long gone. This league's economics have changed too much for such culture to endure. Players who are unable to acknowledge that Clark completely revolutionized the game. They'll learn the hard way, just as Shields, Carter, and Swoops did in silence, forever, and without any official statement to contend with. The WNBA made a decision on its future and made sure that anyone who stood in its way was aware of the consequences. The list is no longer a rumor. It has a history. Please share this story if it made you think. These dots aren't being connected by the mainstream media. Yes, we are. Because this league is evolving quickly and you won't want to miss what comes next. Like, subscribe, and enable notifications.